To this day, August is the month I dread the most, because that was the month that I always left to go on placement. Somehow it was always raining when we got on the bus. There was floods. So every year I always associate those rainy August days with having to leave home again.
I was amazed at their beautiful home, and their yard was just beautiful, and they had a pomegranate tree and grapes and flowers and a lawn, and it was just beautiful to me. I shared a room with my foster sister, Debbie. I think we vacuumed every day or every other day, and it always seemed like, I don't understand why we have to vacuum. There's no dirt on the floor. And I remember being aware of all the things that they did that we didn't do, and all the things that they did that I liked. How they said family prayer together before they went to bed, and everybody got a hug and kissed each other goodnight. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do when I have a family.
Growing up, we would always watch white people from a distance. And I always was kind of curious and see, how do they live? Do they live like us? No, obviously they don't, which I found out. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Everything smelled different. I mean, I miss the cedar of the reservation, the sage and the rain and the smell of my grandfather doing his ceremonies and so forth. And in the white man's world, it smelled like plastic. It smelled like metal.
I came from a family of one older brother, 6 younger, and 1 younger sister. And I remember herding sheep and herding cattle for my grandmother. And I remember a lot of drinking on my dad's part and physical abuse because of that. Later on, my mother told us that when she heard of the placement program, she saw a way out for her children.
My husband he's drinking a lot. He didn't think about those kids. I do. I wanted to raise good. That's why.
Lelo, 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 lelo.
It takes a real thick skin in order to be a person of color, and then also to have to live in 2 worlds. At 5 years old, I was responsible for taking the horses to the water. And I rode those horses bareback. That was my job. So I had a great sense of responsibility for the things I do. And then I had to go on placement. And I went to a place where everything that I had was not acknowledged, was taken for granted, and nothing of value that I had and did was worth anything to them.
There was also constant conflict with the beliefs, just the whole concept of the church, learning to understand that. I guess each student had different experiences, but my experience was that before we left every year to come home, they would tell us, make sure you go to church, don't go to any ceremonies like squaw dances, don't have any ceremonies. But my family always had a beauty way ceremony for each of us. It was to bless our minds and to make us strong so that we wouldn't have any problems with learning. When we used to go back, they would ask us, did you have any ceremonies? And I would have to say no. So I felt like I was violating both. I wasn't being true to my culture, and I wasn't being honest with the other culture.
What is culture? And when is it good and when is it bad? And what's sacred about it?
Between 1954 and 1996, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sponsored a program for American Indian children. The Indian Student Placement Program had two aims: to provide Native children with an education and to help the church fulfill one of its central prophecies. According to church teachings, American Indians are descendants of the ancient house of Israel, and church members have a responsibility to help bring them back to the kingdom of God. Since the founding of the church, Mormon missionaries have sought to bring the word to Native people, and the placement program was part of this effort. Over the course of 4 decades, more than 20,000 children, mostly Navajo, were baptized and enrolled in the program.